cooperating together with our partners in order to find sustainable solutions for the future. The humankind is more aware than ever about the challenges what we are facing. This is mainly because the knowledge, for example, through the internet has increased. Have more information available than ever before. And we know that we, with our actions, we are damaging the ecosystems. We are damaging our own health, and we are consuming virgin natural resources very rapidly, too rapidly. So these are the things that might cause serious problems in the future, but they are causing really bad problems already now. And this is something what we tend to forget because we are waiting something catastrophical happen. But actually, if you have a look of the news, catastrophe is already here. I think I have recognized three different kind of people. People who deny or doesn't care about these challenges or problems. People who are so afraid of these problems that they are completely paralyzed and they spend all their energy worrying how doomed we are. And then luckily there's a third group of people, and I guess you are the third group of people, hopefully very vital part of that, who are ready and willing to find solutions for these challenges. So we would have happier future, that we wouldn't destroy our ecosystems, we wouldn't destroy ourselves, we wouldn't consume our resources so that we wouldn't have anything else left than ashes. I feel very optimistic because in the world where we are living, information is available, and this typically means also that education is available for more people than ever before. So if we are willing to accept that we have the problem, and we are willing to work together to find those solutions, I think we will survive. But obviously, as we all know, time is ticking. And at some point we reach the threshold when we cannot really go back anymore. So I wish you very pleasant and very optimistic two-day workshop here in Myyrmäen, and I would say that please spread kind of positive message that something can be still done. But please start doing that, by the way. Thank you.
chose their studies because of the field of study and interest in them. So yes, we are interested in our studies and therefore our future in this planet. Our students of digital communications here in Metropolia made an atlas last year called Greener Metropolia. They wanted to challenge Metropolia to make more actions to solve our climate crisis. One of the challenges and goals was that Metropolia should lead the way towards a cleaner future alongside other big educational organizations in Finland. So the students of Metropolia are very happy to see all of you make a step for a greener future together. Metropolia's new strategy aims to educate people who are capable of meeting the challenges of climate change, ecosystem pressures and reduction of natural resources, and to be proactive and innovative in minimizing the negative environment's impact. Sustainable development, on the other hand, requires people's ability and interest to change and promote the development of the society and global community. This means we, as a society, have to make sustainable choices and actions, and even actions when planning and producing an education. I myself study social sciences here in Metropolia, and for me, social well-being is a very important value. That is why I often wonder, how can we do well if our planet is not doing well? Our younger generation, on the other hand, is still on a climate strike every Friday, calling for actions to solve our climate crisis. And it shouldn't be that we have to demand something that touches the future of all of us. It's time for change and action. I hope that we all here are ready to change and do this together. So I welcome you all once again on behalf of every student of Metropolia. We hope that during this time we will come together and come up with good and sustainable and educational actions for our planet. Thank you very much.
Welcome also from my behalf. My name is Laura Hiltgren, and I'm from the University of Helsinki and coordinating this Climate University project. Thank you very much for Metropolitan University of Life Sciences for inviting us here to your campus. This is my first time here, and I very much like this spirit in this campus. I was very delighted to hear of your Greener Metropolia initiative, and we would be very happy to promote it within the Climate University community and within these days. So we have gathered here to discuss the theme sustainable cities and communities, and together with the Climate University Network and Metropolia University of Applied Sciences representatives. I will shortly introduce the Climate University concept, what it is about, and then the program of today and tomorrow. So our vision in Climate University is that we have these huge challenges of climate change and sustainability that are facing us now, and they are really urgent. We need to find the solutions to them now, not in a couple of hundreds of years or a couple of generations or a couple of decades, but we really need to find the solutions and how we as a humankind will face these challenges now. And for that, we need the best expertise there is available on this planet, and we need to find ways to share these best expertise in a multidisciplinary way. And for that, digitalization offers us opportunities. So with online tools and networks, we can share the expertise in an efficient way. And that's why we in Climate University are doing open education for all. So we are doing online courses for climate change and sustainability topics for universities in Finland, although we are making most of the material available also in English. collaboration with working life. And I'm happy that here today also we have working life representatives from City of Vantaa and some companies and other collaborators. So to be able to transfer these skills to the society is very essential that we go across all the borders and really collaborate and exchange knowledge, not only within academia but also outside the academia. Some examples of the online courses we already have. Climate Now is a course on the basics of climate change. It's freely available. You can go and look ilmastonyt.fi on climatenow.fi in English. We have currently, anyone can go there anytime to study the material, do quizzes in the end of each section, and get a certificate out of this platform. But this certificate is not yet a university credit points. So then if you want to get university credit points, there are currently courses going on in 7 universities in Finland based on this Climate Now material. And in our workshop room, I have course codes of all of these courses. You can go around and look or also buy them from our website. So if you want to get credits, you have to register to a course via a university, or many of those courses are also open via Open University. Another example is Leadership for Sustainable Change. It's also really available about how to lead sustainability transformation in complex societies. And then it's Circular Now about basics of circular economy. Deals with the same principles. So in Climate University, we have promised to do more online education on these topics, and we started the work with study of needs. So we asked our collaborators what are the skills and the knowledge that is needed in the moment in higher education to be able to face these challenges. And these are the answers we got from the study of needs. We need interdisciplinarity, we need holistic understanding, we need collaboration across all the borders and fields. We need to have a solid data and science basis of our understanding and teaching, but we also need science communication to be able to reach wide audiences. Values and ethics were highlighted a lot in the study, as well as consumer perspective. You can find more of this study of needs on our blog site. So based on this study of needs, we made an action plan for our project, and there are several new courses we are producing by the end of next year, and many of these working groups are here presented in this workshop today and tomorrow. And tomorrow the program here is largely on commenting these new courses we are making. And in this workshop area where we have the lunch and coffee today, there are already posters of all of these new courses, so you're very welcome to go there and look and comment and find the course working groups and discuss and share your thoughts. In this opening speech, I would especially like to highlight our new course called Solutions Now, that is in collaboration with other collaborators like companies or cities or other collaborators, and we have collected climate or sustainability challenges from our collaborators. And from January till March, we will have a course together with University of Helsinki, Metropolia School of Applied Sciences, Lahti and Turku Universities of Applied Sciences, to study these challenges and find solutions to them in multidisciplinary groups of students. It's led by Turku University of Applied Sciences and Sara, who is there. So you're very welcome to contact Sara and engage with our students. And I'd also like to advertise our coming workshops. In March, we will meet in Espoo, Otaniemi, campus to workshop Innovations and Creativity in Climate Change Education. And in May, we will meet in Kuopio. The University of Eastern Finland is hosting a Climate University workshop with the themes of climate science and law. And after those, we will have only the final Climate University workshop in the last autumn of the project in Tampere, which is the summary of the project. So you're very welcome to join the Climate University community. Please join our email list, and we also have a LinkedIn group where we share initiatives and thoughts. And if you use social media or tweet, please use hashtag Climate University. So the program today is in the beginning hosted by Metropolia University of Applied Sciences. So we hear their best practices in sustainability education, and we get to hear what kind of collaboration Metropolia University of Applied Sciences does in this field, and hopefully that inspires us to think how we could apply these kind of best practices also in our own teaching in our universities. Then in the afternoon, then in the lunch break, we will video some climate challenges, and maybe you could say a word about that.
Hello, my name is Mika Numi, and I work at the University of Helsinki as a civil servant for this year. So during the lunch break, we're filming these climate challenge videos, and in the videos, they're like really short. The basic idea is that you just introduce yourself, then you come up with a person or like an organization that you would like to challenge in some sort of action for climate change, and that's it. It's like maybe 30 seconds. For example, I could challenge the principal of Metropolia or the leaders of the city of Vantaa to be vegan for January or whatever. You can come up with your own. And yeah, it would be nice if any of you come. Please try to figure out something already during the morning, so you might have an idea during the lunch break. And then we will show them Thank you.
And if you agree, we will also share those videos to the persons you have wanted to address them to, and also completely if you allow. One last thing I would like to say is that in the afternoon we have a panel discussion about what are the skills and collaboration we need to tackle these climate and sustainability challenges. We have great panelists here in the panel discussion, and we invite you to post questions to the panelists by using Menti. There is the code for Menti. So what would you like to ask our panelists in the afternoon panel discussion about the topic, what are the skills and collaboration we need to solve these climate and sustainability challenges? Once more, thank you for Pentti Viluksela, who has been organizing all of these activities these days. So big applause to Pentti.
Thank you, Laura, and on my behalf also welcome warmly to this workshop. And I think I'm the first following presenter, so my topic is very easy and simple. what makes cities and communities sustainable? Very easy. Sustainability is a piece of cake, as you know. Okay, this is why cities and urban areas are important. At the moment, more than 50% of global population is living in cities. But this doesn't mean that we have to forget the rest who are still living in some smaller communities. How is the climate crisis touching cities? Cities occupy only 2% of the landmass of the planet. Nothing really. But they are using 2/3 of the energy consumed on the planet. They are causing over 70% of carbon emissions, and 90% of cities are located in coastal areas or near some waterways, and they can feel the pressure from climate change already. So that's why cities are important. There is another great thing about cities. Cities are much more than national governments. So cities, it is easy for cities to try out different things, reach to partners, collaborate, develop new approaches and implement them quickly. So that's why cities, for example, somewhere beyond the Atlantic Ocean, cities are driving climate action even if the national government is not. So cities are really important. I'd like to share 4 different frameworks which can be used for assessing and developing sustainability in cities and communities. And we start off right away with SDG 11. This, of course, means the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals, and number 11 is Sustainable Cities and Communities. Number 13, by the way, is climate action, so we are there in both of these squares, and when we are doing things in any of those squares, we are also having impact on other squares. So this is very systemic challenge. We can't optimize just one box here. We have to take into consideration the whole picture. SDG 11 is about making cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Nice words. There are 7 sub-targets. First is safe and affordable housing, then affordable and sustainable transport system, inclusive and sustainable urbanization, protecting the world's cultural and natural heritage, reducing the adverse effects of natural disasters, then reducing the environmental impact of cities, and finally providing access to safe and inclusive green and public spaces. Very nice and very challenging targets. Then we have also some administrative targets like supporting development in least developed countries and collaborating across the board. The good thing with SDGs is that they are monitored and measured all the time. This is the global map for SDG 11. Nobody is in green, but there are some areas in red. This is, by the way, the latest assessment of Finland, how Finland is doing in terms of SDGs. You can note that we have only 2 red marks there, numbers 12 and 13. This is the same for Tanzania. You can note 2 green spaces, 12 and 13. Maybe we could learn something. Okay, then the next framework is society's commitment. This is a Finnish innovation. We have the National Commission on Sustainable Development. I think we have representatives already in this room also. And they have developed a society's commitment on sustainable development, which is the Finnish way of implementing the Sustainable Development Goals and the Agenda 2030. And here are the 8 objectives of the society's commitment. You can see number 4 is sustainable local communities, and number 5 is carbon neutral society. Very similar to some other targets also. And there is very strong connection between the Finnish commitments and the Sustainable Development Goals. What are the contents of number 4, the sustainable local communities? You can just read some keywords: sustainable, safe, services, green areas, well-being, environment, active civil society, social learning, pleasant, healthy, traffic, telecommuting, electronic services, and finally, change and climate and water levels and adaptation. So, more or less the same ideas as in the previous two. Commitments are made by companies, cities, governments. For example, Metropolia has made commitment to reduce its carbon footprint and increase teaching of sustainable development. This is very nice. And also cities and communities are very active in making these commitments. More than 50 commitments have been made about these two targets: sustainable society and carbon neutral society. Okay, the third tool is ISO 37101 standard. The whole name is Sustainable Development in Communities Management System for Sustainable Development. And this is very closely relating to ISO 14001 Environmental Management System and ISO 9001 Quality Management System. The idea is the same. We have the strategic level, we have the operational steps that the company or the organization is taking to fulfill the needs defined in the strategic steps, and the result is more sustainable, resilient and smart community. And here are the 12 sustainability issues that this ISO standard is defining as ingredients for sustainable societies. We can see very familiar words there: governance, education, innovation, health, culture, living together, economy, community, safety, biodiversity. The good thing with these ISO standards is that they have a lot of indicators and guidelines how to implement these ideas. So this would be for an organization which already has an environmental management system, it's very easy to pick up the logic in this approach. And also there is an annex where you can track, for example, the way of City of Vantaa from the start-up of sustainable community up to the leadership and innovation, which is the highest level in this maturity. All right, that's the third tool. And the final tool is called Circles of Sustainability. And there is a lot of academic research and theory behind this initiative. It's building different types of circles, and this is the most visual circle. This is describing the situation in Sao Paulo metropolitan region. And you can see that sustainability is divided into 4 different areas: economics, ecology, politics and culture. And you can see that, for example, in the left-hand side you can see law and justice. It's very red and very small. So law and justice is not very strong in Sao Paulo. But the next one, which is communication and movement, it's very green. So I think public transport is working very well in that city. And how do you draw up these? There is another circle called engagement circles, and this is profiling how different stakeholders are participating in developing the societies, for example, business and universities. And you come up with the assessment with a lot of questionnaires. They are all included in that big book, 700 pages. So, for example, emission and waste. If you want a quick assessment, you ask the first question. If you want more detailed answer, then you start asking these other questions, and you are targeting on citizens and experts, for example. Also, the citizens can give their opinion about, for example, safety and security and decision-making in the community. Okay, final slide. Which of these tools feels most useful to you? There are 4 tools, and I would like you to take your mobile phone now and log into to menti.com and use this code 535938. Sorry, this was the wrong one. This is the right one. Okay. So, which of these tools feels most useful? 79, 63, 84. Menti.com. And I'd like you to vote now so we can see what of these tools is worth looking at in more detail. Okay. First.
Can you give us a small recap of the two first ones?
Okay, SDG 11 was the number 11 Sustainable Development Goal, which is seven areas like inclusive green spaces and all this. And society commitment is the Finnish way of companies and cities and organizations making commitment of doing something for a sustainable future. Sorry about it's a lot of different tools in a short time.
3 and 4.
It's great. All of the tools can be useful. This is, I think, the great message that we have tools for developing and assessing sustainable development in communities, and we just have to choose one which is most useful for you. Great. Yes, please, Aki.
I think it's really interesting that in the first slide you have the urban areas that vary by nationality. Really kind of differences between how they consider these places to be. And I was just 2 weeks ago in this book publication where this architect said that from abroad basically there's only one city in Finland. That's the pyramidal triangle basically Turku, Tampere, Helsinki. That's basically the city. So when you are talking about cities and then urban areas, this is a really interesting concept.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Cities in the larger context are not cities in the Finnish context. They're completely different. Any other comments? Okay, I think we can later on take a look at how the tools were going on. But I think it's time for me to stop now, and thank you very much. And my colleague from City of Vantaa, Ronni Rantamäki, is the next.
Good morning. I'm Ronni Rantamäki. You're probably not the audience that I need to tell why climate change is important or why we should do something about it. But I can say that that's something that it's usually very difficult to make decisions in municipalities or public forums, but this is something that has been very unanimous that we should do something. And the big question is what we should do and how we should divide our resources. And lots of things that cities do are, and the scale is small. We can't solve problems in India in one month, or can we? I mean, that's something we're trying to do. And again, I will have a few words from our sponsors, which is the Six-Aika strategy for the 6 biggest cities in Finland, which is a national program for developing urban areas and especially businesses. And we shouldn't look at climate change mitigation or whatever efforts we are making as just like charity work. It's also a very good business opportunity. I mean, as we're looking at the situation in Asia with the growing cities and the huge amounts of pollution, of plastics and CO2 and whatever, it's something that has to be solved. And we have the possibilities to create solutions in Finland, in Vantaa, and wherever. And we can't do it alone. As we said, that to define a city in Finland, you need to combine the whole region of Uusimaa. And that means that we need to work together. And as Laura said earlier, it's very important to find people that know what to do and combine them with the people that actually do things, like businesses. And that's something that we're working very hard to do in our project, which is called the Ecosystems of Growth. And it includes all the 6 largest cities in Finnish scale. And I mean, the definition of an ecosystem or cluster or whatever you want to call them, it's not easy to define. And we have been using the word cluster, which includes Metropolia and other research and development and innovation institutes. And that's the word we are going with. And when you're looking at the business world, everybody's talking about ecosystems. And ecosystems is it's a very broad definition of networks, in my opinion. And it's quite hard to define the role of the city in this ecosystem context. But we have found that it's very important to have a neutral partner or a party that invites other actors together, and then we can just, in a best case scenario, we can just find the right people, get them in the room together, and then meet. That happened actually in our aviation cluster, where Finnair Cargo had an idea how to improve the digitalization of their cargo logistics. And we got them in our room together with customs and Finavia and other important actors, and they hit it off immediately, and we're working very hard together with this. And they don't really need the city of Vantaa there, but of course we will support them if there's something we can do. And the city of Vantaa, as we already heard from Pentti here, that the role of the city is very big. Well, say all the cities have to do lots of things because it's a place where the impact is very big. And the city of Vantaa has committed to a carbon neutral city in 2030. We have this roadmap to resource wisdom. That's a strategic document that helps us define the steps we should take to reach that goal. And as we heard earlier here, everything what the city does, it's impacted by climate change. When we had a few consecutive years of drought in the Levant region, it caused lots of people to move from the countryside to the cities, which sparked ethnic and societal conflicts, and then we have the Syrian refugee crisis here, which was something that had a huge impact on the city of Vantaa and other cities in Finland. So it's very important for cities to take action preemptively, but it's very hard to make it concrete. It's when you're talking about climate change, it's often about not doing something, not taking your car to work, just taking a train or something. It's easier to do something concrete, that put your hands in the clay and build something. And it's a cultural change we need to achieve. That means that we need to impact not only the children, the young people, we need to impact the people that are running the businesses today. And that's one of the main reasons that we are working with the clusters in Vantaa on climate change issues and sustainable development, circular economy. And I would say that that's probably the most impactful audience for speaking about these issues. And as I said, it's not like it's charity work, it's something that's very important. when working together with universities, research centers, businesses, the city, we actually have a chance on the international or global market trying to get Finnish innovations or ideas, business solutions to have an impact. At the same time as we are talking about when you're flying somewhere, should you have a plastic mug there? And yeah, probably it's a good thing to find solutions for a plastic mug, but at the same time you're flying somewhere in very old technology, and that's something that you can change very quickly. I mean, we're looking at businesses, startups working with different carbon compounds that can be used as materials that make aircraft lighter, or then someone has new propulsion technology. We are working with businesses in Vantaa to use waste to create fuels, create different kinds of storage facilities for energy and warmth. And small things lead to very big things in the end. And working together is a very good way to make things more efficient, not waste resources, and also give the opportunity for new business. And in Vantaa we have decided that the clusters we're working with don't have to be located in a certain area. And usually when you talk about business cluster, it's like area-specific thing. The businesses working around, like say Nokia had lots of smaller businesses around them. But we have had a consultant firm do an analysis over our business scheme here in Vantaa, and we found some key areas that are either developing, something that really should be developed, or something that's emerging very strongly. And here. First, we have the food and drink cluster. We've been working with, I don't know, here, and many other restaurants and companies in Vantaa. Probably called air cargo and logistics, I already mentioned. Then we have a thing called the building maintenance service. We found that it's quite hard to get with other construction companies together to discuss things because they're very secretive about their plans, and it's a difficult situation for the city as we usually own the property that they want to access. So it's a very technically hard thing to do. So we focused, at least for now, in the companies that create solutions for already existing buildings or some kind of digitalization of construction and etc. Then we have a big, we call like this Vantaa Silicon Valley with Vaisala and Murata, Thermo Fisher Scientific in the Vantaa region that produce very high-tech, like silicon-based components for different kinds of digital solutions. And that's actually the most area-specific thing we have going. And they have problems with accessibility services because it's an air-based pollution area, and you can't really build housing in the region. Then we have this circular economy village project that I'll talk more about in a minute. And our key partners here have been Metropolitan University of Life Sciences, Laura, Aalto University and Helsinki University so far. And the idea is to make some kind of more systematic cooperation with at least universities in the metropolitan region and businesses, so that we can get the research to the businesses and the businesses to the students and find synergies. And but urban food cluster, urban drinks cluster in Vantaa, It's actually a huge business. This is just some quick numbers I checked from our databases. In Vantaa alone, about 67,000 people are employed when you're looking at retail and logistics and everything else. Almost 1,000 companies, and a turnover of a little bit over 2 billion euros. And we're looking at food and drinks, everything from production, processing, restaurants, very easy. It combines everything. There's food tech, circular economy aspects, tourism aspect. Vantaa is very important because we have the airport and lots of people moving the ring rail from the airport to the airport. And that's actually something that has been probably the most problematic thing in our city council. We're talking about climate change, and then we have the airport. At the same time, everything built around the airport is, I mean, most of our workplaces are related to the airport. It's not like we work towards shutting it down. We are working with different kinds of solutions for the airport, which includes food served on planes and stuff like that. I see that the future of the food tech scene is in a more health tech, individualized diets, nutrition programs, all sorts of gene level health things. What we're actually doing with the urban cluster is that we started this year, and in the beginning we gathered key players, invited them to the group because, I mean, we have to have some kind of focus there. You need to be able to maintain, so we couldn't just invite all the 2,000 different restaurants, etc. in Vantaa. And the idea is that each student, of course, you can join. But the first half year, when you find the common goals, strategies, what are we aiming towards together? How can we find some common ground, because we have some different kinds of actors there. And we have found some concrete actions that are here in starting here. And one of them is a very concrete thing here for the Vantaa Day in May. We are putting together this Vantaa menu, and we need to create a concept for it, which defines the values and the story of Vantaa. It's a marketing thing, and it's also a way to promote more environmental friendly production, logistics, and ingredients. And I think that the next step in our cluster work with food and drink people will be looking further beyond the metropolitan region. We have already done a nice trip to Stockholm, where we met lots of really innovative people there, and we have started cooperation with them. And I think it will not stop there. We will look beyond Europe at some point. And digitalization and optimization is something that will be something that's everyday in urban farming and other things that they are developing here in Napoleon. Circular economy has been something that's in all the clusters we're working on. It's a common thing that everybody should be doing, and everybody should be getting benefits from. And we have actually started putting together this idea of a circular economy village. And Vantaa Energy has been a single partner in this, just to have the waste incinerator. And they are also very interested in refining the refuse that they get there, burning process, It's not like they need to burn everything that's there. So there will be lots of opportunities for businesses to take something and create new products instead of just burning it. And yeah, well, that's it. Have a question?
Question, how do you feel that is this enough for conquering the fighting the sustainable challenges, or do we need to step up to some stage these activities to a larger scale? How do you feel about this scalable?
Well, we are always looking for scalable. I mean, there's no point in doing something just for Manta or just for we have to make a global impact to do. So even if something would seem a bit silly here in Vantaa, why are we focusing on plastic straws or whatever? In Finland it's not a problem. But if we find a solution that's scalable, and if we have some kind of way to get it to India, Thailand, wherever, then it will start to have an actual impact. That's something we're
Okay. In our program it says break 11:00 and now it's 11:05, so we have a 5-minute break. If you need to go to refresh yourself, now it's 5 minutes time to do it.
Moi. Hello, hello. Yes, thank you Metropolia and Climate University. Thank you for letting me be here today and speak about our company and what a good speech from Pentin about these different sustainability, what is sustainable developments, and this is pretty much foundation also for our company Redonom. And what really pushes us forward is these issues that we are looking at and the fact that 92% of all our global fresh water is now consumed by industries and agriculture, and this is leading to so many people without access of safe water. And while the population is growing and people are moving into cities, I find it challenging to continue the same way as we're doing now with our food production. So that's the reason also why we need to do something about it. And here are some of the same Sustainable Development Goals, which were 17 altogether. And I've picked a few of these, what really our solution could support on. And here are some of the solutions. Our own technology system is called the biofeed, which really connects, I'll show you later further pictures, but the biofeed, the idea is that we are utilizing organic industrial side streams, let's say breweries, biogas plants that are having their organic process, and if they produce this really nutrient-rich waters that we could utilize again for farming and use that as fertilizers. So that's the biofeed is for. And here in Metropolia, we are also demonstrating this hydrohumala, which is indoor hydroponic hops farm where we can grow a year-round production of hops for the breweries. And we're working with partners also in different technologies. So we're representing Urban Crop Solutions for vertical farming. That's technology where you can grow plants in a vertical system with the multiple layers on top of each other. And Variko Nakva is one of our other partner, which technologies is for producing microalgae. And we're utilizing this also in a circular system, so that when we utilize the side streams, we can use microalgae production also as a way of really effectively use the carbon emissions and to clean also the water with help of this solution. And this is some industries that we've been studying. For example, aquaculture, fish farmers, which are constantly recycling nutrient-rich waters in these tanks. Same is the breweries. Their main ingredients are just water, barley, hops, and yeast, and they produce beer. But after this, organic side streams are produced, and currently they're all going into wastewater system. So instead of this, we could utilize this as fertilizers and connect with our farming solutions to grow new food and new products. And the biofuels is containing like biogas plants and these ethanol plants, which both of these industries we've also studied and seen how we can make these industries more sustainable, more environmental friendly by utilizing the CO2 and side streams instead of going into the drain. And with our circular system and with the microalgae, we can also bring back purified water, so then we can lower the water footprint of these plants as well as the carbon footprints. And on the right side, you can see what we can produce from these side streams and CO2 emissions. We can produce fertilizers also for traditional farming, microalgae, which is considered as a superfood, and many think that it's a kind of a future food. It's very high value in protein. Some chlorella is one example that contains 60% of its protein, and then a lot of omega fatty acids, minerals, and vitamins. And with vertical farming, we can grow, we know, over 200 different plants we can grow in these vertical farms. And the hops is the hop breweries are very interested to have their own way of circulating their side streams to grow their own hops. And here's an example and some info about why breweries. Just one example. A pint of beer, it requires altogether 75 liters of pure water. And when I saw this, I was amazed at how is this possible. But when you think about how much water you put to grow the barley and the hops in traditional farming, that's the main reason of the water. It's not the brewery that puts that much water in it. And the carbon footprint is another thing. To produce 1 pint of beer, you use half a kilo of carbon emission. So these are the points why we should also bring these types of solutions for breweries, where we can also utilize these for every 1 pint, 3 pints of the wastewater or side streams, which is organic, nutrient-rich water. This is a case example we're demonstrating here now in Urban Farm Lab, together with Tornion Panimo. It's a mid-scale brewery in Finland, and here the concept is, this picture shows the concept of what we can offer for the breweries to make a more sustainable brewery. The same kind of approach or model could be adapted also for these fish farmers or biofuel industry. So the idea is that we take these side streams, we convert them with the biofeed into fertilizers, and then we can grow organic fresh hops year-round with this hydroponic system. And we can also use the same fertilizers for plant factory or in a containerized vertical farm to produce lettuce. Usually the breweries have their own restaurants. They serve these visitors with their own beers, so they could produce lettuce, for example, between their hamburgers to go well with the cold brewski. And algae is also a system that we've designed, kind of a whole thing together where you can produce algae, separate it, clean the water, and then bring back the purified water to the brewery, for example, to their cleaning tanks or something that they can use in their process. And then the end product of algae, the kind of superfood, goes well as another additive for fish feed or animal feed. This picture shows what we're doing here together with 4 other startups companies here in the Urban Farm Lab in Metropolia. So we're demonstrating together how we could connect different farming solutions in a circular process, and how we could bring this also connect these solutions into industries so that we can help each other out. Here's a picture of a closer picture of the biofeed pilot, and we're demonstrating now how we can pre-treat these different industrial side streams, how we can convert them into liquid fertilizers, and how we can control the recipe depending on how we're going to grow microalgae or hops or mansikka or lettuce, and it requires a different type of recipe. Here's a picture of the hops farm. We just had our first harvest, so right now it looks like just buckets sitting there under some level ice. But this is how it looked like 3 weeks ago, and we have a student on the left side with the darker hair is my friend Doug Brunson, who's helping to build this up. And Korba is a student in Metropolia doing his thesis on hydroponic techniques for growing hops here. So this type of collaboration is excellent. I see that we can work as a company, connect students, and get the kind of common passion and the will to make some change. And when we can offer some kind of platform and the students can get their also knowledge, what they've learned here in Metropolia, to really go into the kädet saven tasolle to practice. Here are some of the vertical farming solutions what we also offer. So this is also, I consider, a sustainable way of growing food in the future. We can put these anywhere in cities, on top of the roofs, in side basements. All you need is pretty simple plug and play. You need electricity and water to go in. It keeps on recycling the same water for the plants. All you need to do is add some nutrients. And you can grow over 200 different varieties. You can have lettuce, herbs, microgreens, and berries. Here at the Urban Farm Lab, we've done some demonstration. We cultivated strawberries and also cloudberries, hilla. And I found out that we were the first in Finland ever to produce a hilla maria, this cloudberry, the actual berry, with this hydroponic system. So that was a good success also. Here's some facts on why we see hydroponic farming more sustainable than the traditional farming methods. What you don't see here is, of course, the energy consumption. I had difficulty to gather how much energy the traditional farmers' tractors are using, how much fuel they need, and comparing to electrical energy for the hydroponic. But the main idea is you get a controlled environment where you can produce constant quality and constant production. Usually kitchens, they need 1,000 salads per week, but the traditional farmer often have challenges to really kind of know beforehand, is it going to be a sunny week or a rainy week? What is the production going to be like next week? So with also these type of technologies, we can be more consistent in the production and make it faster and grow with this, in the same area more food. Microalgae is cultivated in these kind of, they're called photomyoreactors, and it's a glass tube system where you keep on recycling the water containing all the fertilizers, so that the microalgae can eat the fertilizers and multiply themselves. And eventually 95%, what we've studied, 95% of all the nutrients in the water are being consumed while the microalgae is growing. So, and it's very clear the water after the separation, we further process this water so that we can give it back again to the industry. Here's a picture of the unit we're piloting with, so you can do all of this inside one container. Here's some of our team members who's working together with me and developing these new solutions, and now we're going into first commercial versions together with some industries. And here's some of our companies also that we are working close together with in our collaboration. And thank you. That was all for this time. And by the way, today we also made in our home kitchen our own kombucha. And for this event, we've made a special climate university ginger kombucha. And if for all of you, if you don't know what kombucha is, it's a fermented tea drink. So we boil tea, regular black and green tea, 50-50, and then we put it in a kombucha fermentation process, which we monitor and follow how it works. And it has some sugar inside, but all the sugars and the components of the tea is converted into lactobacteria, like acidophilus, or what you get in regular piima or habakali. So it's a drink which all the good beneficial probiotics your body needs. It has a small ginger taste and it's quite refreshing. So I recommend for you to have a taste and say what you think. And it'll be there served in this where we gathered all together through Hana like in English, but happy. So it's quite simple. So you just put the glass, and I recommend you tilt the glass so you can just pour some kombucha in your glass and have a taste. So I hope you enjoy that too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Henry. I think we can taste the kombucha later on. And one quick question. Sorry.
You have this very nice table of these different kinds of farming methods, like open land and greenhouse and this closed system. And it's very interesting, but have you compared energy consumption?
No, this was one thing I was hoping to get some more info about. The energy consumption, let's say, this older gentleman who is practicing traditional farming, I think most of his energy is going for these tractors and these machines that he must use. So it also might depend that his tractor 10 years old or 1 year old, how much it consumes all the diesel or the energy, not only for just harvesting and putting out the crops, but for spreading out the fertilizer of the crops. So it can be eventually quite energy consuming system, but I don't have the details exactly. I know exactly how much energy the hydroponic farm is using, but it's hard to compare.
One more.
Have you also compared with, because I guess that this is the intensive production, the traditional way that you put in here is intensive agriculture, but have you compared with small production?
I tried to pick up some kind of medium numbers from small scale to large scale, and then figure out something there in between to pick up some example here to show you at least the scale of the differences. So it's not like this is how it goes in every case.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm sorry we have to move on. Thanks, Henry.
The next presenter is Stefan Sjöholm from Metropolia. Thank you. Put my timer here so stay on time. Yes, so my name is Stefan Sjöholm. I'm a second year student here in Metropolia, Myyrmäen, on environmental technology. I'm here to tell you about our case study. Me and one of my fellow students, Sakari Harjunpää, who's not here today, unfortunately, wanted to analyze Kirkkonummi's involvement in a project which is called HINKU, which is a national program for communities, municipalities to go or work towards carbon neutrality. And first of all, I want to say the old saying, "Don't preach to the choir," comes to mind. I don't know why. So, as I said, just a short introduction. HINKU was started in 2008. Kirkkonummi itself was a quite recent addition because we did the study in last spring, so they were a pretty recent addition. They started they committed to Hinku in 2017, so very little actually action had been done, so we decided instead to see where the main emission points are and what could be done to reduce these emissions. And just here some study analysis parameters, disclaimers for this analysis. But starting off, as I said, Hinku is a national sort of what you want to call platform initiative for municipalities to go carbon neutral. And the goal is to reach or to reduce 80% of emissions that are of levels in 2007, and this should be done by 2030. And the tools they offer networking for different municipalities to see sort of best available practices, technologies, forerunner in climate mitigation, creating demand for sustainable innovations, and of course, what's the most important thing that we also do here is sort of public awareness for the issues. Shortly, is there anyone here from Kirkkonummi, by the way? One? Two? Well, I assume you're aware of Hinku, but this is, we asked this with the test group, and not everybody was familiar with Hinku, so. But just about the area, landmass, so it's situated just a little bit of west here from Helsinki. Some clusters where you have dense population, but also quite a lot of sort of open land. So we calculated the emissions starting from 2010 going on to 2018 and did sort of a trend line on where the emissions are going. And without any sort of significant changes, we saw that if the trend line would continue, they would go down to 95 kilotons of carbon dioxide equivalent, which would be like a 50% reduction. So there's not really there yet if they want to meet the goal. And analyzing the emissions, we found out that the three main parts, of course, is consumer electrics, heating, and then transportation. And transportation is a huge chunk, almost 50%. And this is mainly due to that it's a run-through municipality of one of the busiest highways. We have the 51 that goes from Helsinki to Tammisaari and then to Hanko, and then of course you have the E18, which is from Helsinki to Turku, which in Kirkkonummi's area has calculated of around 40,000 users daily, and that's just the Turku highway. So we wanted a little bit go so how see the trends. So there on the first column you see 2010 emissions, and these are sort of the carbon dioxide equivalents, and then 2018, and what kind of reduction had happened, and then here we have the required amounts decreased to reach the target. As you can see, the transportation as well, which is almost half, so very little change has been made, and very much change has to be done. Just another visualization of just really sort of what kind of sort of scope we're looking at when we're thinking about the reductions that need to be made. So going in for the transportation, because this was, in my own opinion, it was the most sort of focal point of the analysis, because the highway is almost 80%. And this is, in my own opinion, it's quite sort of like on a macro scale, the problem that we have globally, that who's responsible, because almost 90%, or probably over 90% of the people that use the highways are commuters. They live in Helsinki and work in Turku, or the other way around. But still, the emissions are calculated to Kirkkonummi just because the highway runs 6 kilometers through the municipality. So when we're talking about, our consumer habits, so where's the problem if you order something cheap from China, transportation, who's responsible? Right?
Is it the Turku Helsinki then, or the Hanko?
Well, the E18, which is the Turku, Helsinki-Turku, is busier, but the 51, which is Helsinki to Tammisaari, Hanko, that also goes through Kirkkonummi. They're both here. They're both calculated here. And you see the small piece, which is local, and then the big way, which is the highway. And we try to find out. It's of course always when you calculate this, it's very, very complex how you see the emissions. But they had sort of the annual user, then the sort of how much usually cars produce emissions per year, but still Kirkkonummi is stuck with the emissions, so they have to deal with it. But I think it's raised some questions on how to calculate who's responsible and who should do something about it. So here we see again the current in the dark green and the target, which is down below. And just some figures, just to sort of really open up the scope of the problem of the transportation, taking annual emissions of your regular car. So the required reduction, we came out with a number that's the annual emissions of 14,000 cars. These are sort of regular sort of personal cars. We see the traveled kilometers, which an estimate of the car traveling safe to the 17,000 kilometers per year. And as I said, it's 6 kilometers per Kirkkonummi. And the E18, if I remember it correctly, it's altogether it's somewhere around 187 kilometers perhaps. So, but as I said, Kirkkonummi is stuck with the problem. So solutions that could be done to reduce these emissions, of course, enhancing the infrastructure for EVs, but that's mostly for the local transportation within Kirkkonummi, so it doesn't really address the problem. And then of course you have the planned bullet train from Helsinki to Turku that promises that you're from city to city in around an hour. But that won't be completed within 2030, so it doesn't really have anything to do with, or it won't help to reduce the emissions within the keen pool targets. We wanted a little bit to study, of course, because as I said, the sort of cities are growing, so we wanted to do here sort of population growth versus CO2 emissions per capita. And here we see sort of a natural, by adding these, we see a natural reduction. So even though the population is growing, we're getting cleaner energy, so that actually also helps to do a negative impact of around minus 33% by 2030. And this is also taking into account the new living space, where we said that around 20,000 square meters per year, but also we're learning to build more efficient buildings, need less heat, less electricity. And here again, just in another way to visualize, we have the consumption per capita, but then as we see, we have the equivalent CO2 emissions per gigawatt hour. Heating, which is of course one of the big consumers. Around now in Kirkkonummi, around 35% of housings are connected to district heating, which is quite low if you compare it to sort of bigger cities. This of course helps to reduce the emissions quite a lot, so that you don't have to have your own boilers or oil or any kind of combustion to heat. And this is, we're all probably familiar with this, sort of the problem with Finland, the energy production of course, but also the energy usage, because we're in northern climates, winter needs more energy, and usually needing more energy means that it's produced less environmentally friendly, so the emissions go up. But this is something that we can't really sort of do anything. Of course, the structure of where the energy is coming from, that's always changing. Let's see if the Olkiluoto number 3 is ever going to be operational. That's probably going to have some effect on the chart. We also had a discussion with some public officials in Kirkkonummi, but as I said, they were still just planning. It was in the planning stage. No sort of big efforts had started. It was sort of in initial stage, but they had collaborated with Gaia Consulting to build sort of a roadmap for where they are now, where they need to be, and what are the sort of best practices to reach the targets. When we did this in spring, it was still awaiting, the roadmap was still waiting approval by the city council. They also arranged workshops where they had residents and local industries to see what they had to say about it. So task of the municipality, of course, establishing the dialogue. They can help with zoning and planning, emission trading, trade-off, job creation, influence industries, but still the drawbacks and constrictions is that most of the control still lies with the residents themselves. And Kirkkonummi and farmland is privately owned, so that sort of takes more of the authority or the power from the municipality. And the drawback of small communities being able to decide for themselves, they're still bound by state legislation. And then of course you have the industry and corporation agendas. We analyzed a couple of the main industries, as we see here. And we also want to see, these are the results from the workshop on what kind of commitments these industries were ready to make. Some of industry are working together in sort of symbiosis to use waste streams, heating to help each other and in turn reduce their sort of emissions, carbon emissions. And of course, Fortum now is continuously trying to add and evolve the district heating network. And they also had some, they have the, if I remember correctly, it's the Ericsson server hub, which also produces some heat to the district heating. Another interesting project is the Eco Älykylä in Masala, which is sort of a big project, privately funded, to make sort of a carbon neutral village built from scratch. So they had big plans, 300 houses, the power generation, energy generation, and also storage, even possibility of going carbon negative by selling the surplus energy. This also doesn't really go into the time scope of the Hinku, but this is also, even though this is good, the idea behind it, but still building new. If you want to say that you are carbon neutral, you still have to take into account that everything has to be built. So all the emissions which come from the construction. Oh yes.
Who's the developer of this?
I have to check on that. I'll come back to that. I'm sorry, but still, for the community, if you build this from scratch, in my own opinion, this is again how you count it. If you build this from scratch and you want to say that you're carbon neutral, that means that you have to be carbon negative until you've offset all the emissions you produced during the construction stage. So, do you want to sort of enhance what's already built, make it more efficient, or do you want to tear that all down and build new places which are already sort of energy efficient and low emission? From the residents, they had suggestions on what they would like to see the municipality do. Of course, education being the top one, informing the public. We have the electronic vehicles again. Add homeowner value so that if homes are more sort of energy sufficient, natural gas and anything like this, so that they would actually raise the value and then make it sort of a place where people want to live and move to. But then again, all these are quite sort of generic, where what you see almost everywhere. So sort of really big, hard-hitting solutions haven't really been found. But of course, this is from the residents. This is again, putting the responsibility on the consumer, which is, in my own opinion, a little bit sort of wrong. So the conclusions: feasibility, not with current technology. But then again, if it would be, then everybody would do it. So the prediction reduction would come around somewhere around 50 to 70%. Positive impacts, of course, job creation, climate awareness, and sort of the positive thinking that every good deed, because we need every good deed actually to really make a difference. Drivers for success, innovations within transport, energy storage, smarter energy use, but then again, the largest obstacles is the slow adoption of EVs. I'm not really sure where around the percentage of EVs and regular or sort of conventional cars are, but still Finland is one of the countries that has sort of the longest life cycle of cars before they're sort of put into use. So that means that all the cars that are bought today are still going to be used 10, 15 it doesn't really sort of help in the time scope. Land may be privately owned, as I said, and the low authority of the municipality. But as in the introduction, we wanted to create sort of a positive feeling here. So ending on a high note, with Hinku, I'd like to talk just shortly about the municipality of E, which is situated there, as you can see, in northern Pohjanmaa. Quite different scale, population of under 10,000 people, land mass just under 3,000 square kilometers. But they are set that they're going to reach the reduction by 2020. And this is just to prove that if you get everybody in the community involved, then you really can make a difference. So if you have small involvement of the community, you don't really do anything, but if you actually can get everybody to commit, that's when you get the real change. So 2007, they're at 62% of 2007. Different compensations, of course. Not really sure exactly whatever that is, sort of carbon trade-off. But they have I wanted to follow their Twitter stream just to see if this is really sort of telling like the community that they're really sort of working together. Share rides with electronic vehicles. They had really investing in clean technology. All schools, all municipal buildings trying to get sort of with natural gas heating, solar panels, wind turbines. And I'm sorry for the resolution on the last one, but they really sort of have like these climate arenas where they really get the whole community together. Everybody wants to do their part. And they're actually been recognized by the BBC as climate heroes, which is always nice to see Finland on positive headlines in world news. But yeah, 17 minutes for that, but thank you. Any questions?
What kind of education projects or programs in schools do you have on the analogy of history also?
Projects with in Kirkkonummi? Not that I'm aware of. Do we?
As a citizen of Kirkkonummi, I know that there is a lot of discussion or involving school children into this kind of sustainability and climate work, but I haven't seen any concrete yet.
Yes, over there.
One of your negative points in the summary, you have low authority of municipalities.
Yeah.
I mean, have you noticed that that's especially if we are some places are worse than others. Citizens don't obey what the municipality demands or recommends.
I think it's more meaning sort of like getting people involved. So of course, the municipality can't force people into this. So they have to sort of get them engaged, but depending on what kind of area you're living in, socio-economic situation of the residents, are they willing to do the change? That sort of idea which I was thinking, which means, but as the counter-example in E, is that the municipality really gets everybody involved. But then if you have communities where you ask the residents themselves, what do you think of Hinku, and they don't even know. I'm not talking about Kirkkonummi, but there probably are communities where they're working on Hinku, but not all the residents. They don't care, they're not interested, or they're just not informed enough. Yes?
I'm from Kaasipori municipality, and we are also a member of Hinku communities, but there is no action plan, no nothing to write this. You mentioned that Kirkkonummi was using this Gaia consulting
Yes.
company, and you made some kind of roadmap. But do you now have some kind of action plan? How to do this? Except this motorway.
Well, they actually, it was quite flattering as a sort of a first-year student and really sort of novice in doing life cycle analysis and counting carbon emissions. Pretty much the same conclusions that we came to were quite on track what Gaia had. But of course, they recognized the main problems as well. It was heating, electricity, and the run-through. And as I said, gig economy doesn't really have any authority. You can't, like force people to use EVs on the highways. So they had maybe sort of what they can do locally. So that was the EV infrastructure pretty much. And then of course the heating, trying to get industries involved, doing sort of these industrial symbioses. But unfortunately nothing really too concrete because of course the constrictions of technology. But I'm not sure, was it sort of publicly available? We got access to it, but is it publicly available? Yeah. But maybe take in contact with Gaia and see if they can sort of produce what they did for gig economy if you were interested. Okay, thank you. Okay, now we change the country and change the continent as well. We are going to travel south, and our guide is Jukka Kärkkä from University of Turku.
Thank you, Pentti, and thank you, Climate University, for offering this opportunity to tell you about the Resilience Academy that the Turku University is coordinating in Tanzania. I would like to start with a short, less than 5-minute video that gives us an overview of what we are discussing. Then we can discuss.
Over the next 20 years, 95% of global urban growth will occur in developing countries. The rapidly expanding cities in Tanzania are increasingly vulnerable to climate risks because of weak urban and land use planning, little information to assess vulnerability and risk, and lack of updated infrastructure.
Our urban itself is more than 70% of the city is unplanned, where you have no drainage system, you have no roads, poor solid waste collection, and all sorts of problems. It's only geospatial which can actually solve this problem.
Since 2017, the Tanzania Urban Resilience Program has focused on risk identification, risk reduction, and disaster preparedness and emergency management. The impact has been knowledge, skills, and innovative designs for transformative investments. From 900 students creating an open map of the city to drones being used to build flood models, and from trialing new technologies for weather and flood monitoring to developing emergency response plans. Transformations that are helping governments and citizens to improve their city. Now the Tanzania Resilience Academy will embed these best practices and achievements into the academic courses offered by 4 Tanzanian universities.
In Swahili, we have this saying, shida inafundisha. It means when you have a problem, you learn. Universities are empowered to use the resources they have, which is the students and academic curricula, to basically help the society in climate issues like flood.
These students we are training, they are the future natural resource managers. They need to know these issues so that they can educate the societies.
The Resilience Academy will equip young people with tools, knowledge, and skills to address the world's most pressing urban challenges and ensure resilient urban development.
I'm just excited. I'm excited to see these methodologies and these tools which are very easy and cheap and open source. And the current students who are learning the right tools easily, they can then influence or help when they are decision makers who know exactly what they should be doing.
You know, young people have brilliant minds. They learn very fast. They can jump onto anything. They're ready to learn and ready to practice. And these are the people that will be making decisions for the future.
So this is kind and a right time to help our students on how to collect quality and reliable data that will be entrusted by those government agencies and communities.
The Resilience Academy is establishing a geospatial information system, or GeoNode, a content management system for climate risk information and research.
We have this younger generation from the university, especially students, collect this data, put them in a centralized location, which will be accessible to everybody who is a stakeholder in making this data more resilient. For all the planners, for instance, if they get this data, they will be able to make accurate informed decisions.
The Resilience Academy is developing open access education material for university staff and students.
The main goal of Resilience Academy is transforming the curriculum from theory-based to more practical skills that could enable students to work on various solutions that could solve a societal problem.
I would like to see it in a way of empowering the universities to be one of the strong actors in the society, to do such educational research that can have an impact on the more sustainable development of the society.
The Resilience Academy is building a long-term internship program providing university students with practical skills needed to apply their academic knowledge in their own communities.
So this is a very good tester. You do have a problem. You do have an environment that is not fully developed and therefore very dynamic, but then you do have an army of these wonderful, young, dynamic people who can very readily contribute.
Join us at the Resilience Academy.
Right, so Resilience Academy is a new initiative, maybe a year and a half old, and it's part of a World Bank project called Tanzania Urban Resilience Program. And this resilience program is funded by the UK development aid. So it's a Great Britain funded system through the World Bank. But now we have been working, and we are the University of Turku, we have been working in Tanzania since 2003. First in Zanzibar Island, and then lately on the mainland also. And we have been collaborating with the local universities. And indeed, maybe 2 years ago, the World Bank then learned about us and came to us and asked, would we be interested in collaborating in this Tanzania Urban Resilience Program in the educational side, so that we would be working together with the local universities and help them educate students to be more active in the resilience system. And this is how we started the situation. And as you saw on the video, Dar es Salaam itself is a challenging place. There are about 5 million inhabitants there, the same amount as in Finland. In a small area, relatively small area, and the city is growing rapidly. Most of it is unplanned. There is no infrastructure, and for example, only 10% of the city is covered or has a sewage service. So we clearly have a gap in resilience, and therefore the SDG 11 is highly important here. So the approach of the Resilience Academy is to train young people, young students, with such tools that are useful in our everyday life. In Africa, quite often the universities have adopted their curricula from the British or whatever has been the governing country in the past, France, Germany, whatever. The system has been adopted from there, but it hasn't really changed since then. So it's very kind of old-fashioned, theory-based, and often doesn't give those skills that would be needed in everyday life. So we try to help the universities to be able to provide those skills to the students that are necessary in the contemporary world, if we know those skills ourselves. That's the question. But also, what is important here is that we are actually learning a lot from the African attitude, the innovations, and so forth. indeed it's the innovation that is amazingly powerful tool. And they can, in Africa, people can demonstrate to us how quickly you can kind of make a leap in some, say, technological solution. They have never built any telephone lines there because they jumped directly to mobile phones. And what we are doing now in Dar es Salaam, for example, is that we are mapping the city by crowdsourcing method. So the citizens themselves are mapping the city because the authorities do not have the capability of doing it. The city is growing so fast that regardless of what you try to do as a centralized process, will not keep in pace with the growth. So this map here, for example, shows the Zimbabwe River in the middle, draining from the southwest to the northeast. And the green and red dots are the households that are affected by flood. And these have been mapped by the citizens themselves using their mobile phones and an OpenStreetMap service so that they do it like that. And it's amazing how effective this method can be. Indeed, the University of Turku is the coordinating body, but we are sort of standing behind. It's the 4 Tanzanian universities that are doing the job. These people on the photo, they have, there is one person from the University of Turku, quite obvious there on the back row, but all the rest are our African colleagues who have spent weeks, months, even years in Turku, taking our courses, giving us some courses, and for example on the left here in the front row, Harun Makandi, who was also talking on the video, he just got his PhD degree last week, and he's also our alumni. He got his master degree in Turku a few years ago. And we are also partnering with the 2 universities in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, they have a long tradition of collaborating with many developing countries, and they are much better equipped with this kind of collaboration, so they have been helping us a lot here. What we try to give to the students are indeed skills that they can use in their life. And in our case, we try to teach them with digital skills and services. And we offer a climate risk database, which I will briefly explain to you in more detail soon. We have online learning materials similar to what Climate Universities is providing. We are making those courses at the moment, so we are kind of walking hand in hand with the Climate University. We try to encourage them with internships and training programs locally, and we also do research together with the researchers in these universities so that we can actually publish some scientific research also as part of this process. We have actually given this training to over 400 students every year now, but and the number is probably has to decline a little bit because we just can't cope with this much people. And we are trying to get more than 40 courses, either new ones or improved courses, put together in the coming year. As you can see on the lower left here, the Leiritie funding given by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Finland has been an important funding agency for us, the Finnish coordinating body. But indeed, the majority of the money comes from the World Bank. And the climate risk database indeed is an open source and openly available database. You probably saw quickly on the video the 50 or more different data that we have on this database. It's on the GeoNode open platform, and it's currently on the server of the University of Turku, but if and when the server facilities are good enough in Tanzania, we will move those over there. Currently we are the webmasters at this end. And it's open to everyone. The Resilience Academy itself, in top of the, or in addition to the open data service, we offer education in three different themes. There's the flood resilience in changing climate, then community mapping for spatial planning, and then Earth observation for resilience, basically satellite image interpretation and this kind of thing. I will not go through all these, I just give one example of the community mapping, which is very efficient, as I said before. The crowdsourcing is amazingly powerful tool. People are so excited when they can actually do mapping in their own neighborhood. And the students, when they get the skills, they can then actually teach them to their local neighbors, and suddenly there are thousands of people doing the same thing. They are mapping, for example, the flood risk, but they can also map positive aspects of the city as well. So the skills that we try to provide are listed here. There's the GIS systems, community mapping, mobile data collection, drone imagery collection, and so forth. Also household surveys are being done, and obviously we couldn't possibly do these things in households. We wouldn't have the cultural background nor the language skills to do it. If we look at the SDG map, then I think it's quite obvious that we have the educational side here, importantly, and then SDGs 11 and 9, plus the climate action, of course. So these are the four SDGs that we highlight. Now, what is happening right as I speak is that in Abidjan, in the Norsunluurannikko, Côte d'Ivoire, there will be a conference starting tomorrow about understanding risk in Africa. And the Resilience Academy will be there presenting. And a little bit scary scenario that we have here now is that the World Bank has this Open Cities Africa initiative where there are 11 megacities of Africa, rapidly growing cities, and they would actually like to introduce this Resilience Academy platform or initiative in all these 11 cities. And they are now asking the University of Turku, can you coordinate this? And we have just been discussing with our rector about the situation, and he's sort of scratching his head, and we don't know what will happen, but it would be a good opportunity, but it could be too much to ask for a little northern university. But anyway, this is the overview of what we are doing in the Global South, in quite different environment from Kirkkonummi or Vantaa, where the challenges are slightly different. Thank you.
Thank you very much. One quick question. Yes, please.
Hello, Janna Pietikäinen from University of Helsinki. That's a great project. How are you involving your own students at Turku University, or are there combinations with the Tanzanian students and the Finnish students in the project?
There are actually our students, some of them can join us in our campaigns in the South. But so far we have been mostly working with the African students. And also we possibly couldn't take the students, many of them in Turku, but it's the teachers who come to Turku and get educated and they then go back to back home and then educate the hundreds of students there. So the student collaboration hasn't been fully active. That was a good question. I will keep that in mind.
Okay, thank you very much, Jukka. And time for our final presentation. We have been talking about changes that we need to make, but there are also changes that we have made successfully, and this is one case.
Thank you. So hello everyone, my name is Tiila Korhonen and I'm working HSY as the operating manager in Myyrmäen, and I will tell you today how we have turned the old landfill to eco-industrial center. And of course you are all hungry and we have quite, well, 10 minutes time. I will show you a video today. It's unfortunately in Finnish, but I will tell you first in English some history about it, and then show the video so you should understand almost everything from the video. So for those who doesn't know what is HSY, HSY stands for Helsinki Region Environmental Service Authority, so I use the HSY, quite long name for the company, and we produce waste management and water services in the metropolitan area here in Helsinki. And we are owned by municipalities, Espoo, Vantaa, Kauniainen, and also we do cooperation with the Kirkkonummi. And we have 1.1 million customers in water and waste section. And what I have always said, and I will say, the best employee of HSY is the inhabitant metropolitan area. If you sort separate your waste in your household, you do the best work. Then the waste is the most, well, the easiest way to handle it when it's sort separated. So HSY is collecting waste from household, mixed waste, bio-waste, carton, paper, metal, glass, and plastic. And other wastes we take to sorting stations or reuse centers or rinky points. And at the moment we have this new collection for textiles in sorting stations. And when, well, 32 years ago, Myyrmäen was established, and then it was just a landfill. But nowadays it's an eco-industrial center, so but those collected wastes, the only waste is only bio-waste is coming to Myyrmäen. So all the others we have cooperators who handle the waste and recycle it for energy from it. So mixed waste is going to Vantaa Energy, but after it is incinerated there, ash and slag is coming to Myyrmäen. So whenever you throw mixed waste into a garbage bin, you should remember that nothing is disappearing after that. There's still ash and slag. So the bottom slag and the fly ash is handled in Myyrmäen. But well, from the picture you can see it's a quite big area. It's 200 hectares, and it used to be only the old landfill, which is in the middle of the picture you can see the big hill. That's the old landfill. But nowadays it's just a hill there, and we produce gas from it, but nothing else. And the other area is for reuse and recycle. So I draw a timeline. 32 years ago, Myyrmäen was built, and it was high technology. So under the landfill there is one layer of plastic foil. That was high technology at that point. And also there was planned gas collection and leakage water. But that time it wasn't very normal to do that, because usually it was like when the landfill is closed, then the gas collection is planned. But that was high tech then. So everybody came in Helsinki area to see how to build a new technology landfill in Ämnerssuo. But at the same time, there was actions in law, and people are starting to realize that we are not supposed to build landfills and put everything into the landfill. So 1988 in capital area, we started the source separation in class collection, and there was 160 collection points for classes. And for Ämnerssuo, that was very good because the class in mixed waste causes a lot of fires in the landfill. When the sun is shining into the class, it builds those fires easily. And 1989, so after 2 years we were in Ämnerssuo, we started also collecting hazardous waste from the households. And in only 1 year, it doubled amount of hazardous waste in the 1989. And then, that time HSY was the YTV, but HSY decided that let's do a pilot and collect source-separated bio-waste. So 1990, there was a pilot project in Espoo, and 8,500 inhabitants were involved. And in only 3 months, they collected 82 tons of bio-waste. It was composted in Ämnerssuo, in open-air windrows, and after that, we decided to build a collection for bio-waste. So in 1993, collection of bio-waste in capital area began, and 1998 it took almost 5 years to cover the whole capital area for the source-separated collection of bio-waste. But in 1991 and 1995, there was a regression in Finland, so amount of waste drops a lot. So that means that you don't get any incomes, so you don't make investments. So 1991, HSY decided not to build a waste-to-energy plant in the capital area, and it took almost, it took more than 10 years to decide to build a waste-to-energy plant. But when the waste amount was growing and the incomes are coming, so we built a new facility to Ämnerssuo, first panel of composting of bio-waste, 1998. At the same time, 1996, we started to collect gas from the landfill. So there was a plan of gas collection, but after 9 years there was enough waste to build the collection system and get gas out of the landfill. So they were actually burned in torches that time, but it's better than to put the methane into the air. But end of the 1990s, so 1999, we get a new scaling system in Ämnerssuo, so every waste was scaled and in and out and automated, and reporting started to be a good one. So at that time, material flows were trained to be, so we started it in 1999. And I actually came to the waste management business 2000, so I have seen the whole change from the landfilling to this day, which is like nothing goes to the landfill. Only 1% which is coming in Ämnerssuo is going to landfill. It has been a very interesting way to see how it changed. So that time there was plans to build a mechanical treatment plant, my mechanical biological treatment plant in Ämnerssuo. But in 2006 there was a decision no-go for MTB, and mixed waste will be used to waste-to-energy plant. Within that we turned our gas from the landfill to Kivenlahti, to Fortum, and produced the heat and energy from it. It was a very big change. And bio-waste collection was growing, so we built a new composting plant in Ämnerssuo. 2007, old landfill was closed, and there was already 11 million tons waste inside it. But at the same time, we opened a new landfill, but there were new regulations, and now it was something a lot than just a layer of plastic bottom of it. And 2008, Vantaan Energia wins the contract for waste-to-energy plant, and the planning was beginning, and 2014 waste-to-energy plant was in Vantaan ready to integrate the next phase. And that means that amount of waste dropped dramatically in 2014 in Ämmässuo. So we decided to do something else. So we created an eco concept, which means that we had a facility for the company, for the waste management, and we offered it for companies to use our facilities and to do cooperation with us and with the waste streams. And 2010 we built our own gas power plant, and after that we have been energy independent. So if I would have done this, I would done the whole gas power plant already in 2004 or something, but it took a year to decide and invest for this plant. And a couple of years ago we built another power plant for our biogas, which is unironically produced from bio-waste. And nowadays, when the waste is coming to Ämmässuo, the only 1% is going to the landfill. So now I will show the video which shows the pictures of the change.
Tulevaisuuden määritelmät. Ehkä meillä ei tarvitse enää käyttää sanaa kiertotalous tai biotalous tai mikään muukaan talous, vaan meillä on tämä meidän elämä ja talous, ja siinä kaikki käyttäytyy niin, että tosiaankin jätteitä ei synny ollenkaan.
Maamme suurinta seudullista kaatopaikkaa ryhdyttiin suunnittelemaan vuoden 1986 alkupuolella Ämmässuolle Lounais-Espooseen.
YTV:n tekninen lautakunta tuli sitten vierailulle tänne alueelle. Me mentiin tuohon suon viereen, niin se oli niin jotenkin mieleenpainuvaa. Ne yritti vaivautuneesti siellä pusikossa olla tämä tekninen lautakunta, ja mä siellä suolla yritin selittää heille, että tuosta se aukeaa sitten se suuri kaatopaikka, jota rakennetaan.
Ämmässuon jätteenkäsittelykeskuksen eli nykyisen ekoteollisuuskeskuksen toiminta alkoi 1. syyskuuta 1987. Sen toiminta alkoi kaatopaikkana, mutta muuttui vuosien saatossa materiaalivirtojen jalostajaksi, kiertotalouden airueeksi, joka nykyisin tuotteistaa jätettä uusiksi tuotteiksi. Yksi asia on pysynyt samana 30 vuoden ajan. Jäte ei ole kenellekään yhdentekevä asia.
Helsinkiläiset ovat innostuneet kiertokäynneistä Ämmässuon kaatopaikalle niin paljon, että päivittäin sinne ajetaan 2 täpötäyttä bussivuoroa.
Ollaan käyty nyt Lapissa, sitten ollaan käyty Ahvenanmaalla ja nyt me mennään tällä kaatopaikalla.
Espoo, Helsinki, Vantaa, kun heillä oli tiedossa se, että tämä tulee siirtymään YTV:lle, niin ne aika vähän satsasivat jätehuoltoon, ja sitten kun tämä homma siirtyy sitten meille YTV:lle, niin siinä aika monella rintamalla joutui sitten niin kuin nostamaan tasoa, rekrytoimaan toisen tyyppisiä ihmisiä.
Ämmässuon edelläkävijyys näkyy jo sen rakentamisessa, jolloin ympäristön suojeleminen huomioitiin muun muassa tarkkaan suunnitellulla pohjan eristämisellä. Iso askel kohti kiertotaloutta otettiin, kun vuonna 1993 aloitettiin biojätteen käsittely ja käynnistettiin biojätteen erilliskeräys Pohjois-Helsingissä. Viisi vuotta myöhemmin keräys kattoi koko pääkaupunkiseudun.
Ruotsissa niin, siis periaatteessahan ne oli melkein samanlaisia, paitsi että kun mä tulin Suomeen, niin mä totesin, että meillä on parempi. Meillä oli järjestäytynyt tapa hoitaa asioita aika monessa paikassa ihmiset elivät niin kuin päivä kerrallaan. Ja meillä se oli vähän niin, että piti selvitä myös ensi viikolla jo puolen vuoden päästä.
2000-luvulle tultaessa kaatopaikkojen pohjarakenteita koskevat viranomaismääräykset tiukkenivat. Tuolloin MSOn laajennusalue oli ollut työn alla pitkään. Kiristyvä lainsäädäntö oli huomioitu jo suunnitteluvaiheessa, joten asetetut vaatimukset ylitettiin selvästi. Uusi kaatopaikka korvasi vanhan läjitysalueen loppuvuodesta 2007.
Keskeisiä asioita ovat jätehuoltolainsäädännön muuttuminen, kierrätystä on tehostettava ja myöskin kaatopaikkatoiminnalle on tullut rajoituksia. Mutta toisaalta myös sitten HSY:n oma tahtotila edistää kiertotaloutta ja materiaalihyötykäyttöä. Nämä seikat ovat ohjanneet myöskin MSOn kehittämistä.
Pääkaupunkiseudulla on otettu käyttöön maailman suurimpiin kuuluva kaatopaikkakaasuvoimala. Jätekaasua muuttuu sähköksi vuosittain 7000 omakotitalon tarpeiden verran.
Kaatopaikkakaasun kerääminen alkoi MSOlla jo reilu 20 vuotta sitten. Vuonna 2010 avattu MSOn kaasuvoimala tuottaa yhä kaiken alueella tarvittavan sähkön ja lämmön. Askel kohti monimuotoisempaa kiertotaloutta otettiin 4 vuotta myöhemmin, kun Vantaalle avattu jätevoimala lopetti sekajätteen läjittämisen MSOn kaatopaikalle. Sen myötä alueen toimenkuva sekajätteen loppusijoituspaikkana tuli tiensä päähän. Tänä päivänä MSO tunnetaan ekoteollisuuskeskuksena.
Kiertotalous MSOlla tarkoittaa sitä, että otamme tänne vastaan materiaalivirtoja, jätevirtoja, joista jalostetaan uusia tuotteita. Ja tuotteita voidaan sitten hyödyntää muun muassa maarakentamisessa tai muuta tuotteita viherrakentamisessa.
MSO on hyvällä tiellä ja lähdetään siitä, että sitä jätteettä ei syntyisi. Tarkoittaa myöskin sitä, että siitä materiaalista siirrytään palveluihin, palveluiden käyttämiseen, esineiden jakamiseen ja erilaisten materiaalien ja tuotteiden uudelleen hyödyntäminen mahdollistetaan. Et sen sijaan, että me puhutaan kierrätyksestä tulevaisuudessakin, niin me puhutaankin uudelleen käytöstä. Jos meillä on alueita, joissa ihmiset ovatkin eristäytyneitä, niin siellä varmaan se omistajuus säilyy. Tällaiset yhteisöt ja yhteiskunnat, joissa on iso määrä ihmisiä. Ja silloin todennäköisesti on myöskin se, että nämä ihmiset on pienemmällä alueella kuin nyt. Silloin tämä on varmaankin se aina.
MSO tulee olemaan merkittävä toimija materiaalitehokkuuden ja kiertotalouden edistämisessä. Merkittävä, tärkeä yhteistyökumppani alueyrityksille, joka tarjoaa esimerkin myös muille suomalaisille jätelaitoksille siitä, miten kiertotaloutta voidaan edistää.
As you see in the last picture, there were windmills, so at the moment we know that the landfill is not producing gas so much anymore, that we could use the whole power from our gas power plant. So we are now planning to build a windmill to be still energy independent. I will skip a few slides because there was already information about this, but this one, last year we got 430,000 tons and only 1% of that was landfill. And that what was landfill was some kind of reject, which is totally inert waste, so it won't turn into gas, it just stay there. Today if this year it will be like 350,000 tons, so the waste amount is going down. And sorry to skip, I will tell you you will see all this information in the material afterwards, but this was the main point. What we do now, most of the doing in MSO is of course the bio-waste handling and some other waste fractions, but also the ECOMO with the cooperation with the companies. So one company's waste is another's raw material, and that's the main point that we want to do in MSO. And we now have 7 or 8 companies, for example NCC is crushing stone from the waste product. We are building a wastewater treatment plant in Myyrmäen, So the stone is coming to Myyrmäen and we crush it and make it as a smaller stone to make asphalt in Myyrmäen area. Also the Leiritie produce telekivi in the area, which is a restone material from concrete and brick waste. Tar paper, Leiritie and Myyrmäen are doing the traditional waste terminal functions, and Bottom is making biofuel production, biofuel from horse manure. And Kemptylä and Ajali are making a topsoil production from our compost. So we produce some waste or material for them and they do business from it. Because we are owned by communes, we are not able to do a business, so we need companies to do the business. So we offer facilities. So, thank you.
One quick question to make more appetite to us. I think this is the next one. Oh, okay. Yes.
Do you have the idea about other landfills in Finland? In how many places they have a biogas collection, and does this need a very big landfill that is affordable to build one? Or,
No, you don't need a big landfill to collect gas. Okay. You just have to put the wells and have the connection. I think every landfill in Finland have a gas collection.
Okay.
Also, we have in Seudula a very old landfill, and we are still collecting gas from it.
Yeah, and it's always burned for energy. So
no.
No. Okay.
In torches, some of them make energy, so it's if you don't have enough gas or methane inside in the gas, you are not able to do the energy from it, but it's burned in torches.
Okay, thank you very much, Tiila, and all the rest of you. I think we have deserved some lunch now. And during the lunch break, please remember to think about climate challenges and make a nice video with Mikael in charge. Contact him if you want to make a video. And lunch is served in the same place where we had our morning coffee.
And just one more quick thing. Hopefully you have figured out some people or organizations you would like to challenge. And so we have pretty limited time now to film them. I hope that some of you could already come maybe now before you eat and then others after eating. So you still have to lie down for the food, so I think that would be most efficient. Thanks.
Okay, and one more reminder, in the afternoon we are staying in that area where we eat lunch and maybe